Oh, I guess I was just so caught up in everything, I dozed off for a moment. I've been thinking, Laura, when time allows, we should pay a visit to Gabu. Agreed. In the moment she departed this realm for the first, I heard her speak to me. I know this to be true, just as I know she will one day return to us. In those final moments she was smiling, was she not? She was proud and hopeful and looking to the future. So too will I. I told her everything that happened. She needed to know, and I thought it best if she came from me. Strange to look back on circumstances of our first meeting. We were all very young, so foolish and so powerless. Oh, by the way, in case you missed it, Thancred's little buddy is still there, doing the careful job of defending. Sounds like I don't enjoy the company of so many motivated youths. However, with East Sealdauer around, I cannot help but feel somewhat isolated. He got carried away with training lest you wanted to injure his back. Alienne's been looking after him ever since. Oh, as if you wouldn't try to get rid of me the first time. Don't drag me into this mess. I have a precocious sibling, too. I'm sure she'd be happy to join us. Believe me, I know all too well the burden that is a precocious sibling. We should trade tales over a drink. Maybe even the four of us. It's a bit overwhelming, quite frankly, having spent so much time on the road, often by myself. I'll try to approach this as a learning experience. Had I not had an open mind, after all, I doubt I would have been able to master the ethereal blade, nor would I have benefited from the rather pointed advice I needed. There's no one path, as some are given to say, and there's wisdom in exploring every school of magic. Yeah, you should multi-class. You should go multi-class. Lord, just the hero I wanted to see. Would you mind doing me a small favor? Sure. I'll go ahead and do this favor. This is when she kills us, right here. This is it. This is it. Oh, hang on. I missed a few people. There I was worried about how to brief Papalim on the many momentous events which we've borne witness to. Little did I know I only need to leave Hori to it. My word, Laura, I must confess to some considerable amazement at the trials and tribulations you and others have recently overcome. I must again apologize for our prolonged absence and for the fact that we have yet to answer your many questions. As for Ida, well, all things in their time, I suppose. So, Alphino, we all know he's got his mind made up. Crystal Braves are no more. It's over. Bam! When we got to go home, we can't stay here. But Riol, he's not having it. Won't even let Alfie finish. Oh, Jesus Christ, Dakota. I am sorry. And from personal experience, I'm sorry on that one, too. What is it with dental medicine and not working? Because you are not the second or third or eighth person I've heard say, yeah, they gave me pain meds and then they didn't work. And it's like, I know that they're supposed to be mild, topical pain meds, but seriously. But good morning, Camper, USN Corp, Valvedrix, Dakota, Omega Legion, another him. I like the name. Sputnik Lock, and Disco and Robo's Tall. The Doom Eternal tutorial. There's a tutorial in Doom Eternal? Would be my answer to that. Should do this too. Sorry to drag you away from your duties, but as I said, this won't take long. I just need you to stand perfectly still for a minute. That's not terrifying or anything. What kind of trap is this? What have you led me to, Tataru? Ready for work? No. No. No! We were never heard from again. Good morning, Blade Terval. In fairness, my measurements are probably very weird on this character. Like 7 feet tall. would you like to know? All in good time, Laura. All in good time. Found you. Hi, Ida. Alphano wants everyone to the solar. I don't know what it's about, but it sounded important. Hello, Dr. Winter. The practice dimension get to try out a new weapon things are awesome. More games need to do that. Capcom's been getting better about that lately. DMC5 did that. Mega Man 11 did that. Actually, that's it. But the point is, it's a good idea. Hi, Rai.
We're here. Did we miss anything?
Yes.
We would not presume to begin without you, Ida. Urianger has returned to the Waking Sands, but everyone else is now present.
Yes, but for what exactly? We all have duties to attend to, Alphino, so you may dispense with the preamble.
Thank you, Elise. It is the very subject of those duties which compelled me to call this gathering. Though the Warriors of Darkness no longer pose a threat, Eorzea's many troubles demand no less of our attention. And while I stand by the decision to approach each task as we see fit, I fear our effectiveness will ultimately be diminished should we continue to act in ignorance of each other's efforts. Thus, I propose we elect a successor to Minfilia. Not to serve as a fully fledged antecedent, perhaps, but as a coordinator of operations.
What, you want to add management? Oh. Listen to the gobbies over in Idleshire. It's clearly best to just do whatever, whenever, and let it all be a giant tumbling mess.
Is that all? Well, then the decision seems clear. No one else has shown any enthusiasm for the role, and judging by your performance at our previous meeting, you would seem the perfect candidate. You always did have a flair for politics.
Actually, there's this new gentleman I wanted to give the role. May I introduce Elidibus?
I did not mean to... That was not my intention. As my tenure as commander of the Crystal Braves comprehensively demonstrated, I lack the qualities required for such an office. I would much prefer to remain as I am now, a soldier in the field, so to speak.
Should none of our numbers step forward? Must we then constrain some unwilling candidate to take up the position?
Fun fact, in a lot of real-life governments and real-life history, when forging that government, you know, when doing the statecraft of building the governmental body, that has happened several times. Alright, we've all agreed there needs to be a leader of the council, right? Right. Who wants to be it? Nobody. Alright, and then they force someone to take the role.
Well, based on merit alone, a certain adventurer would be my choice. Though I concede he might struggle to balance his new responsibilities with, let me see, slaying primals, thwarting legatuses, and feeding the orphan poor.
Thancred makes a good point. Any who would wear such a mantle would be bound by its obligations. Have we not become sufficiently familiar with each other's methods to act without an overseer? At present, I see no cause to so willingly limit one of our number.
Oh, absolutely, Blade-Tugal. Zero question. But then again, that's when my mind drifts into Final Fantasy Tactics range.
Oh my goodness! Help! I need some help here!
We're pretty close to, I'd say, about 50%, Plutonia. Maybe 40.
Tataru, are you all right?
Me? I'm fine. It's this poor girl who just staggered in and collapsed on the floor that I'm worried about.
Narco! God, how did... Yashola! Please, you have to help her.
Kral, a hand if you would. Let us see about closing these wounds.
Yeah, probably closer to 40. When we finish Stormblood, then we'll be at 50.
Now, we've staunched the bleeding, but it may be a while before you can move about again. Though having seen your wounds, I'm surprised you are still moving at all.
Okay, so everyone got all that big, juicy foreshadowing for Shadow? Good. Forget about it for like the next week.
Thank you. My message.
It was too important to delay. I took the shortest route I could, though I knew it was more heavily patrolled. As you can see, my efforts at evasion were not entirely successful.
Honestly, you're too brave for your own good. What was so urgent that you needed to fight half the Empire to get here? You could have been killed.
I'm sorry, Ida. I had good reason. But I imagine your friends are wondering who this bloody mess of a Mikote is. My name is Minago, and I belong to the Alamegan Resistance. I came to warn Ida and Papalimo about one of our leaders. A man who calls himself the Griffin. He's always been dangerous, but he's planning something new. Something reckless.
The Griffin, you say? I've heard the name. Rumor has it your man is eager to test his claws.
Aye, and on no easy target. He means to assault Belsar's wall from the Alamegan side.
But what does the Griffin possibly hope to gain from such an attack?
From what I understand, he wants the fires of war to spread to Eorzea. And for that, he needs to control the border with Gridania.
So, he means to spark a conflict between the Alliance and the Imperial forces stationed in Alamigo, to have Eorzea's armies aid in the liberation effort, whether they will it or no.
Let me really put this into perspective. There's a really big, terrifying polar bear right over there, okay? It's sleeping. Now, near it happens to be a chunk of honey. And the griffin is like, but that's my honey. I want that honey. So the griffin turns to, 3 people standing nearby. It's like, hey, help me kill that bear to get, to get that honey. And the 3 people are like, are you nuts? The guy's like, oh, okay. Cool, no problem. And so the guy goes over and smacks the polar bear as hard as he can right on the face. Doesn't do any damage to it, can't do any damage to it, but just pisses it off, with the intent of ensuring that the polar bear will get up and kill everyone. Oh no, that's not the intent. Obviously he's like, we must force ourselves to fight the polar, but no, that's what would happen.
His plan is flawed. Even should the Resistance succeed in occupying the wall, they would not be able to hold it.
Yeah.
Imperial reinforcements would drive them out within a week.
Oh, and if you're wondering why I say polar bear, it's because polar bears are freaking terrifying. Just like Garlemald.
Be that as it may, if there is even a chance that this scheme could bring about an escalation in hostilities between Eorzea and the Empire, the Alliance must be informed.
Agreed. I shall depart for Limsa forthwith and seek an audience with the Admiral. Thancred, Uldar is yours. Alphino and Alize, make haste to the Twelveswood and notify the Elder Seedseer of the danger to Gridania. She will duly call a council of the Alliance leaders, whom you must be ready to receive. You will be our voice in Ishgard. Explain the situation to Sir Emmerich and encourage him to send an envoy. To Taru, Kryl, I leave the care of our injured messenger to you. See that she remains quiescent and her wounds closed. I believe that covers everything. Let us be about our tasks.
I suspect the ill tidings from Girabania will be held as a turning point. The beginning to a bloody end. The business of war was ever conducted with the coin of self-sacrifice. 'Twas Master Louis Soir himself who taught us that such costs are not to be ignored or denied. And so, I shall embrace them. When the time comes, I will make my choice, as you will yours.
After conferring with Y'shtola, we have decided to focus our attentions on the East Shroud. Someone needs to keep an eye on the border, not to mention the Sylphs. Yeah, tell me about it. I hate leaving Naga like this, but I know Kryl and Tatara will take care of her. Yeah, they're good folk. So, Pika asked, for the third time, what's my five favorite Pokemon games? Unfortunately, I've only actually reviewed 2 Pokemon games. So I can only tell you my 2 favorite Pokemon games, which are Pokemon Shield and Pokemon Black and White. Those are my 2 favorites. Blade Terval asks a valid question, though. Do you think the Warrior of Light could be leader of the Scions while still doing all the field work they do? Yes. Or would you rather they just avoid the field work in favor of focusing on leadership? No. You don't relegate a Star Destroyer to paperwork. Or rather, just paperwork. Besides, we all know Tataro's really the one handling the paperwork. That's true, those are my 2 worst Pokemon games. That's a valid statement. Good to see you, my friend. 'Tis a pity it must be under such circumstances. If Lucian not informed me of this urgency, I would certainly have sent for some wine. To business. Thank you for bringing these developments in Alamigo to our attention. Ishgard will, of course, send an envoy to attend the council in Gridania. I cannot say who will represent us, however, as the choice is not mine to make. And not mine alone, anyway. Given the imminence of the threat, we may forego formalities of a full assembly. But I will still need to consult my counterpart in the House of Commons. Yes, they have a House of Commons and a House of Lords now. Will you permit me to make some of the necessary arrangements? Thank you. Our representative, whomever we elect, will need an escort, so, Lucia, you'll be the escort. Lucia. Would I like to review Xenoblade 1 and 2 someday? No and maybe, respectively. Xenoblade 1 would honestly be very arduous to review. Or we could just all accept that the side quests in that game suck, dump negatives upon negatives to taunt them, and then move on. Which is probably what we do. You have no business in the city. Join me at the gates of judgment. We must be ready to depart the instant the envoy arrives. Interesting helmet. What the hell is that helmet? Jeez Louise. Ugh. But no, if anything, we would probably be a warrior king. Which I know is a weird thing to say for an organization like we are, but you get my point. Let's do this. I mean, you know Xenoblade's side quests. And if you don't, then my tone should get across Xenoblade side quests. They're worse than the Moogle side quests. Because not only are they worse quests in general, but there's also much, much, much more of them. Hi. As it happens, my counterpart in the House of Commons agreed I should act as Ishgard's envoy. Not, I can see there's any real doubt. As Lord Commander, it is my duty to sanction military cooperation. Be that as it may, I could not in good conscience make the decision alone, not with the ink scarce dry in the Republic's Book of Statutes. I trust you understand, my friend. Alas, I must test your patience still further by making a stop at Camp Dragonhead. Okay. Oh yeah, the side quests are just so bad. Just awful. Like, no exaggeration here. The only question is how many negatives do we heap upon them? Because they're way beyond 3 negative territory. But, like, how do we parse that out, you know? The garrison commander waits within. Why not accompany me? You may see a familiar face. We could do it per zone or per town. Per bundle. You're the garrison commander. Stop calling me old boy. I'll have some mold wine brought up to the kitchens at once. If you'll excuse... No. We're on our way. Lucia, a brief summary, if you will. Yes, this is Elden Ring. Or, what's the other game that everyone's streaming right now? Or was streaming? Those villains hardly need excuse to wage war. Bloodletting comes as natural as breathing to a Garlean, to an Imperial. Thus we strengthen our patrols. We shall also be sure to communicate these developments to Lord Francel. Lost Ark. Surprised if yours truly at the helm. Raise eyebrow. You and me both, old boy. Stop calling me that. I doubt I'll ever feel worthy to sit where he sat. Hey, Ginger Overseer. Yeah, we can but play the hand we're dealt, and I'm sure with a little help through the veterans and Honorroy's ceaseless chiding, I'm sure I'll muddle through. So worry not. Off to Gridania with you. Yep, I'm off to good times. Because at this point, nothing will keep me from Stormblood. Actually, you want to hear something funny? You may or may not have noticed that while we were doing the Storm Dragon Song, whatever it was called, arc, which I had trouble even finding what that arc was called, but whatever. While we were doing that arc, you may or may not have noticed that there was a single side quest in the Churning Mists which was undone. Now, that confused me, because we should have been at the point where we were just at the daily quests. So I went ahead and did it off camera last night while I was playing D&D. Would you believe, I know this is going to shock you, that it was yet another terrible Moogle quest? And I'm not even joking, it was literally yet another, go find the Moogles in this vague area kind of a quest. The good news is it didn't chain, it was just the one. Yeah, we'll see, Pika. We'll see. I'm not a big fan of the Xenoblade, so I'm not in a rush. But as always, I defer to the will of the people. Dancing monkey, etc. Actually, it's funny you say that, Valvatrix. I was looking a couple of things up because I did, what's the name of that zone? This zone. I finished all the side quests in this zone. And I'll tell you about that in just a moment. But, apparently several of the quests, I actually saved 2 specifically. Because I was like, wait, this feels like this is actually lore relevant. I did a little looking up. Apparently, and nothing indicates this, after you beat Sieru's Wall, which is a quest in near the end of Stormblood's patch main story quest. It's right before Shadowbringers. It's like the patch right before Shadowbringers. All of a sudden, that exact quest unlocks a crap ton of side quests all over the place. So I'm saving 2 of those. I'm not sure when I'm going to do them on camera, because I will do them on camera. But yes, I've already started preempting Stormblood quests. This is a bit of a learning experience. And so I am trying to make it so we don't lose 2 days to Heavensward garbage. Good news. So, speaking of that zone, you're probably expecting me to tell you that zone's regional quest. It doesn't have one. Seriously, there is none. Unless you count the fact that it's got the Beast Tribe starter quest, which I have saved, actually, as I mentioned earlier. And that's kind of it. It's all just random side quests, which kind of caught my attention a little bit. So you probably tell me about the lore of the zone. So there's one quest chain which caught my attention. There's a Makote named Red 13 who's trying to take care of this thing, but oh my god, he's got this horrible shame because of his father who died and abandoned his family to the horrible fate of being attacked by a foreign tribe. But it's okay, because he finds out the truth that his father actually stayed behind to defend the place and was petrified by this. I'm not making this up. I made up the name. He's not called Red 13. He's called something totally unrelated. It's Red 13's story. It's so copy-paste, it's actually funny how copy-paste it is. He literally is the son of a father who's been disgraced by the family for the last several years and hates him and is just, I just want to spit on his corpse, until he finds out that what happened was that the father stayed behind to fend off the invading tribal attack by fighting there until the arrows petrified him, and then he collapsed the cave wall, and his statue still stays there, and it's Red 13's story. He finds out the truth, and he's like, I am proud to be a member of the M tribe, because that's how they do their tribal stuff with the Mikote. I am proud to be his son. Like, I get references, but that's just straight up copy-paste. The only thing they changed was the names. And the bipedalness. That being said, sorry, I do have one other thing to say about that, because you may or may not have noticed that I haven't added anything to the Stormblood chain. So the side quests in Stormblood, at least in that one zone, have gotten better. They have reached the dizzying and incredible heights of being a wash. Now, that probably sounds like a joke, but I want to stress that I mean this sincerely. They have gotten good enough to no longer be a negative, as every side quest zone has been so far. Good job, Stormblood. You managed a wash. Lore, I trust you well. 'Tis a day for reunion, it seems. I believe you're well going to wait to my escort. Hi, Yugiri. Yep, gotta get ready for Stormblood. So, let's go discuss. Would I like to review Super Mario Odyssey? Yeah. Who wouldn't? Is this the most hostile lore run? This might be the most lore run hostile game I've ever streamed, yeah. There's a reason I've been so grateful to so many people for assisting in making this feasible.
I bid you welcome, my friends. As you will by now be aware, the Scions of the Seventh Dawn have come into possession of certain intelligence concerning recent developments in the region of Gir Abania. It springs, I am assured, from an unimpeachable source. Is that not so, Master Alphino?
We are exactly 7 quests, which include 1 dungeon, from Stormblood. We're right on the cusp there. This is the lead-up.
Indeed, Elder Seedseer. Our information comes directly from a member of the Resistance's inner circle, and we have no cause to doubt its veracity.
This Griffin of theirs is a fool if he thinks he can hold Belsar's wall against the Empire. When the Imperials move to take it back, they will come in force. And the resulting fighting is all but certain to spill over into the Black Shroud.
At the Battle of Cartano, the combined might of 3 grand companies labored to contend with the remnants of but a single Imperial legion. Alone, Gridania would be hard-pressed indeed to hold back the tide, should the Garleans turn their minds from reclamation to invasion.
May I once more convey my nation's deepest regrets for our inaction in the days prior to the calamity. 'Tis a stain upon our ledger that I would fain remove. Elder Seedseer, I do hereby request leave to deploy a defensive force within the borders of Gridania. Ishgard's return to the Alliance shall be honored by more than mere ink upon parchment.
The Doman people, too, would join any effort that weakens our common foe. We are few, but our most seasoned shinobi are at your disposal.
On behalf of my people, I offer you my humble thanks. Gridania welcomes your assistance.
It is time we set our contingency plans in motion. Is the Alliance agreed?
I'm muted. I need to jump in and mention something real quick here, because this is important. By the way, I hope your leg gets better as soon as it possibly can, Ginger Overseer. Sorry. I do understand unexpected medical bills, believe me. I've said this before, but it really bears repeating. If the Garleans invade, then they win. That's it. There's the end of statement. Now, quite the contrary to, you know, how despairing that might be. All of the plans and backup options and all of the strategy so far has been about making that inevitable victory as painful and unpleasant as it possibly can, while also having backup plans for what to do when the Garleans win. You know, obviously starting up counter movements, making sure supply caches are there. You get the idea. This should sound familiar to a lot of people in real-life history, because this is actually something several nations have done in real-life history when a much bigger and more militant nation was about ready to stomp all over them. Like, all right, well, we're going to lose, so... Right? And yeah, exactly. There's no Bahamut this time, Bahamut Primal, in order to stop them. So, yeah, no, that's game. So what do we do when we lose? And I want you to remember that, because that is one of the only things that Stormblood does right from its zoomed-out perspective, is how much it keeps emphasizing that we can't win this. So instead, it's how do we deal with this?
Then let us make ready for war. Victory favors the swift. There is much to be done.
So, there's actually two... I'll answer you in a second, Blade.
The Council knows that Alamigo will not soon be wrested from the Empire, and its decision to bolster the border's defences seems eminently practical. Why then, brother, do you scowl so?
I agree that they have chosen the wisest course available. Indeed, the only reasonable one. Yet something feels awry. In making ready for war, is the Alliance not granting the Griffin the very thing he desired? Any attempt to hold the wall is doomed to failure, aye. But I wonder if we have misjudged the prize for which he plays.
Ironically, I was about to point this out myself. Simply by mobilizing, the Griffin has accomplished his objective with regards to the Alliance. Now, they don't have many alternatives. They could obviously just roll over and go into resistance cells, but otherwise, yeah, no, simply by mobilizing, this is exactly what the Griffin wants. Remember, he's poking the bear. Poke, poke, poke. And yeah, this is... I mean, in real-life history, I hate to pull that up again, there have been plenty of cases where the concept of war, or not the concept, the casus belli, the cause for war, the legal justification for war has been, oh, you're mobilizing. Well, okay then. And yeah, I'm not condemning their decision to mobilize. Quite the contrary. It's exactly what I would do too. It's just, I wanted to point out how this is kind of a little bit of a Kobayashi Maru. Now, Blade Terval says, Garlemald hasn't invaded mostly because of internal turmoil. Yes, although there is actually one other very big reason why Garlemald has not just stomped over Eorzea. And that's not even Bahamut. Bahamut was just a pause. In the last 5 years, if he wanted to, Gaius could, let's be honest with ourselves, easily have just stampeded over Eorzea. He didn't because that was contrary to what Gaius wanted. Gaius didn't want to just take the territory and then deal with the mess. He wanted to revenant it. Let's just call it what it is. We already talked about this. And so, ironically, Gaius not being an evil warmonger is a lot of why Garlemald hadn't just kind of gone, which it totally could have at any point in time in the last 5 years. Now, Ginger Overseer asks a completely unrelated question, which I'll answer very quickly. But for Resin Forbidden, so apparently I have to explain this for a second. Who's Malik? Xenos. So, Ginger Overseer is not aware of how we fund things, so I'm going to go and explain this for anybody who doesn't know how we fund things. The way it works is you all put money towards the show, which helps me to keep having a roof and water and food and all those wonderful things that allow me to continue to do my job. In exchange, I allow you to put those towards interest. It's a way of literally voting which games you want me to stream and in which order. So when a run is funded, well, that makes the list. It now goes from the list to the queue, and it goes into the upcoming page. Cool. Horizon Forbidden West is on the list with something like $15 put toward it or some. It's a very small amount. Horizon Forbidden West is absolutely nowhere near funded. Very, very few people have put very, very little money towards it. By contrast, Elden Ring has been funded for close to 2 years now. So, I already answered you, Pika. Please stop repeating yourself. Council was able to reach an accord so swiftly is a heartening development in itself. I only hope my misgivings prove unfounded. No, it's cool, Alphino. We're all screwed. We're going into Stormblood. Master Alphino, a pleasure as always. And Mistress Alize, how wonderful to see you thus recovered. Pardon the interruption. I had hoped to thank Lore for serving as our escorts before other duties called him away. I also wish to thank our Doman ally. Forgive me, my lord, I was but awaiting an opportune moment to join the conversation, and force of habit made me keep to the shadows. Yeah, ninja, I get it. I was most grateful for your interjection when I offered Ishgard's support. My nation's historic failure to heed the Alliance's pleas for aid is a matter of record. Even so, the Alliance leaders were plainly unprepared for my impromptu apology. The resulting air of awkwardness might have lingered longer were it not for your timely offer of cooperation, which allowed the Elder Seedseer to accept us both. I appreciate the gesture, because Aymeric knows what he's fricking doing. I only did my duty, Sir Aymeric. The Empire is an enemy to us all, and we are grateful for the opportunity to fight at your side. Full glad are we to have you. Pray convey my regards to the Scions and my friends. We must return to Ishgard. It's fine, Pika. It's just you have a tendency to ask questions over and over and over and over, even if after I've already answered them. To answer you again, yes, it would be nice to review Super Mario Odyssey. Even though I've technically already done it, it is up for an audit run, and it was an amazing game I'd love replaying. Whatever's wrong with a simple sorry or thank you? Must politicians make a speech out of everything? Oh, Alize. Oh, Alize. Mayhap the ones who like the sound of their own voice speak that way. In any case, our business here is concluded. We should be on our way as well. Will you accompany to Revenant's Toll? Actually, I think I'll pay a brief visit to the East Shroud. I'm curious how Papalymo and Ida fared in their talks with the Sylphs, not to mention what's been going on at Baelsar's Wall. So yes, Baelsar's Wall, if you've been paying any kind of attention, is the name of the upcoming dungeon, so you know where this is going. And yes, it is named after Gaius von Baelsar, who used the resources of the claimed territory to solidify his control. For a little bit of perspective, I can't zoom in anymore. So this right here is the Black Shroud. That's where we are right now. That's Gridania. Girabania, which is this little peninsula-looking thing up here, that's the conquered territory. This is the area that has been claimed. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to show it off super quick. That's wrong. Just give me a sec. I hate this map sometimes. Go here. Hey, look. No side quests. Anyways. There it is. And that's if you look at the direction, that leads straight into the Black Shroud over there. So you can kind of get a perspective of what Baelsar's Wall actually is. Yeah, me too, look. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Too high, too high. Let's bring up the lighting. So yeah. Just giving you a little bit of the geography. God, I can talk. So you have an idea what's going on. Yeah, no, they use a lot of metal in Garlean construction. It's one of the reasons the Alamegans have been so pissed off, is they ripped out a lot of resources out of Alamigo in order to make things like that. Welcome back, Lore. I don't know about you, but I'm heartily glad of all the talking over. I understand these council meetings are important, but do you not find it tiresome to have to weigh every word you speak? I doubt I'll ever feel at home in the realm of politics. That said, people have been known to change, and if my brother's willing to run his own errands, anything's possible. So, hang on, who's on right now? I know Rai wanted to be there. Rax is not on. Is Rai there? That's Rai, I think. Yune, is that you? Remember. Kata wanted to be there. Okay, and that's Rye. We'll see if Rax shows up. If not, we'll get a replacement in. Well, as much as I enjoy the bustle of the toll, I think it's time we head inside. My brother and the others will not be long. I don't mind being any role for this one. There's a lot of ways this can go. With regards to... How did I cancel the... Oh, I started a cutscene. Whatever. He returned from the council, but what of Alphino? Did some other matter require his attention? My apologies. I trust we didn't keep you waiting over long. Greetings. Oh, Carl, how's Nago doing? She will be alright, won't she? Shut up, Ida. I don't see why not. She's sleeping at the moment. Taro's keeping an eye on her, so we'll know if there's a change in her condition. Her wounds are healing well. With sufficient rest, I am certain she will make a full recovery. Thank goodness for that. Now, share with us the Council's decision? Yeah, they decided to mobilize. You know, I almost wish the Council would stop messing around and give the Griffin what he wants. I wouldn't like to be the Imperial cup between the Resistance and the Alliance. Okay, pause. Now, I don't dislike Ida as much as most people do. But it really does need to be emphasized that Ida is a moron. And that's not me making fun of her. That's not me deriding her. She is a stupid character in universe. I mean, we've talked about this, where she's your typical punchy, dumb character, which honestly most punchy characters tend to be in the Final Fantasy series. C7 or Zell or whoever else you wanted, Snow, you know. So, this, after that massive speech I have given several times about how absolutely screwed we are if the Garleans decide to go things, this, more than anything else, shows exactly how little she understands. I wouldn't like to be the Imperial caught between the Resistance and the Alliance. The Polar Bear caught between the Bunny and, like, I don't even know what, like the Fox? Hey, Tifa's my favorite character in FF7. She's also not stupid, go figure. Ida, you cannot seriously... One does not lightly go to war. Thank you, Papalimo. Yeah, there you go. A baby seal and a bunny. And there's just a polar bear that's like, I wouldn't want to be that polar bear. And it's like... Tifa is an exception, legit. But, just... Yang is also probably an exception, if we're being honest with ourselves. Which is funny, because he started the martial artist thing, and then... From Sabin onwards, their int score just started going down with the dip with Tifa. But anyways... To open hostilities without due consideration would be to invite disaster. If only there was some way to reach the Griffin. Some means to convince him to abandon this reckless course. It may not be entirely unfeasible. Do what you gotta do, Omega Legion. There's a network of tunnels beneath Baelsar's wall. Secret passages dug by the Resistance to provide a way out of Alamigo. Which may equally serve as a way in. Precisely. If we're all in agreement, I would say the route to undertake... I would be the one to undertake the necessary negotiations. I am familiar with the route, and Resistance is familiar with me. Not as familiar with me, you say? Say what you want, I'm coming too. I have some experience in practice of infiltration. If you'd have me, my services are at your disposal. As are mine! It's been too long since I shared a shadow with a shinobi, and I do not intend to waste the opportunity. See, part of the reason I'm so negative here has nothing to do with Stormblood, if that makes any sense, Omega Legion. I hate the Griffin and the story arc related to him, so I'm in a bad mood because of that, if that makes any sense. It's also part of why I keep mentioning the geopolitical situation, to really make sure everyone understands why this is going to piss me off so much. I'll return to the East Shroud and watch over the border. Should matters take a turn for the worst, it would seem wise to be on hand. Might I prevail upon you to accompany me, Lord? Gridania will be safer for your presence, and while it might not be the most thrilling duty, dear sister, might I ask you to remain at Rising Stones to pass on messages? To hold the fort. Very well, I suppose the task must fall to someone. Safe travels. I suppose that is degrading, Fife. So, instead I will call her stupid. Don't mistake me, I don't actually mean that as an insult. If I call you an idiot, I'm calling it's an insult. If I call you stupid, I'm making a statement of fact. Darth Malak is stupid. I love Darth Malak as a character, though. Hell, Sabin is stupid, and I love Sabin as a character. So even when casting the same incantation, the mastery of each practitioner greatly affects the efficacy, there we go, of the spell. A principle that was aptly demonstrated by our two mages here. We have some training in the healing arts, so we'll take turns with Mistress Kryle in caring for her patient. Ochre seems eager to learn from the experience. Mistress Kryle and Archon Ishtola are truly exceptional healers, and 'twas an honor to witness their ministrations firsthand. If only... Oh my god, let's not even get into the Mandervilles. If only I could tend to my brother's battle hurts with such proficiency. Much to study. He's still over here like, I wonder what Isildar would have to say about a wounded visitor. His own injuries yet keep him abed, and I miss savoring a cup of tea alongside his usual observations. Meanwhile, I think she's hitting on him again. I'm all surprised by our sudden visitor, but Hori was able to gauge the situation at a glance. He realized the Makote posed no threat and permitted her to enter. But that didn't mean he was on alert for some manner of trap. Mayhap the Elder's the finer man after all. I believe she said her name was Minago? Her cause appears to have been genuine, but I must confess to feeling no small degree of trepidation even as I stepped aside. It's okay, you did good, Hori. Hori Boulder continues to be awesome. Tataru and Kryle took that resistance fighter to more private chambers that she might recuperate. Poor girl was in a state, wasn't she? I remember that. If you have any unfinished business, the nearby watchtowers offer an unobstructed view of Baelsar's wall. I should be interested to speak to the Alliance commanders who have installed themselves at the top. Come on. I may have perhaps exaggerated my standing with the Resistance a little, but I am confident I have a reasonable chance of putting a stop to this madness before events spiral out of control. Fair to middling at the least. All I'm saying is it wouldn't be the worst thing if we end up joining the Griffins' fight against the Empire. I mean, it's going to happen sooner or later, isn't it? I am no ninja, but I did spend some moons in the Charlayan homeland learning how to move unseen. Between Yugiri and my humble self, Ida and Papalima will be well protected. My fellow shinobi require little encouragement to take their place amongst the Alliance forces amassing in Gridania. They are most eager to cross blades with the armies of Garlemald once more. Oh, and Zant is very stupid. But the thing is, Zant's also an idiot. There you are. Come! The spire awaits. The Alliance officers on the platform should be able to apprise us of any developments on the wall. Fancy meeting you two here. We're about to set forth. Indeed, I was about to say 12 watch over you, but I doubt you have need of divine protection, even if you are venturing into enemy territory. Don't worry, Alphino. We'll have the Griffin by the scruff of the neck before you know it. Oh, do make up your mind, Ida. Nary a moment ago you seemed ready to shake Griffin by the hand rather than the neck. So which is it to be? It would be best if you decide before we enter negotiations. Trust me, Papalima. I'll shake whatever needs shaking. Damn it, Ida. I'll leave the talking part to you. I can feel a headache coming on. Let's be on our way, shall we? Oh, absolutely, Omega Legion. The perfect patsy. See, that's one of those interesting things. An idiot is a great puppet for someone who's actually intelligent, right up until the moment they're not. I know that sounds disingenuous, but what I mean by that is an idiot will almost always do things in a fairly predictable manner until their idiocy causes them to not do things in a predictable manner, at which point they cease to be a useful puppet and start to be a problem. Welcome, Warrior of Light. I assume you're here to speak with the commanding officers. They're on the observation platform. Thank you. I'm not even going to make fun of the fact that you've got this platform, which you probably had to beg the elements for like 5 hours to be able to make. Greetings, my friends. Good to see you well. Hi, Pippin. I was hoping you might turn up. I've dragged half the watch here, see, and the sight of you might help remind them why we bothered. If memory serves, I've not seen many of you since the days of the Grand Melee. Having borne the brunt of your blows, may I say it's an honor to stand at your side. Okay, let's be honest. I mainly went after Pippin. 'Tis heartening indeed to see the realm's most stalwart defenders thus gathered in common cause. Speaking of which, what news from the wall? All's been quiet. And here's the wall from the other side that I showed off earlier. Looks a little different, but that's because, you know, expansions, patches, different zones. Fighting has broken out on top of the wall. A full-scale assault. So the Griffin has made his move. Someone has. What's that supposed to mean? The attackers are wearing Grand Company colors. Possible. We gave no such order. Yep. False flag operation. Noun. An operation in which you go out of your way to engage in some kind of provocative attack or military engagement while pretending to be a manner or organization that you are not. The wall was never the Griffin's target, it was the bait. We have been goaded into deploying our armies nearby, lending weight to his deception. If those uniforms were convincing enough to deceive my scouts, the Empire will surely think we've launched an offensive. This could mean war. Even so, this may yet be no more than a diversion. With the armies of the Alliance occupying the Empire's attention, it would be comparatively easy for the Griffin supporters to slip into Alamigo. He could then incite rebellion amongst the populace, which the Imperial reserves would be hard-pressed to contain. Eorzea, meanwhile, would be plunged into chaos. And yeah, it would be bad. This would be a mess. So, Baelsar's Wall. We're going, just the two of you? Yeah. Don't worry, I got this. Our companions embarked on a mission to sway the Griffin from his course and are likely halfway to his command post by now. They will emerge in the midst of a raging battle, and I do not mean to abandon them to their fate. It'll be dangerous, but the confusion may work to our advantage. If we're careful to avoid the skirmishing, we may reach the Griffin, and if we can do that... Lady Hilda, might I ask you have an airship ready to bear the Scions to safety? Ha! I don't know who Lady Hilda is, but you can count on me. Let's prepare for Imperial reprisals. Yep. Yeah, this is all rather tense. It looks like Rax is not here, so I'll go ahead and get Serona in. I'll give him like another minute, because he's got like another minute, but yeah. Meanwhile, at the wall, there's the Alliance troops. Oh, absolutely, Blade Trafall. That's the best part. The best case scenario here is the Griffin manages to retake Alamigo in the confusion and chaos, and then loses it again to a much worse and bloodier reprisal. This is... I've said it so many times, I don't know how else to say it. This is a bad idea. So we don't spoil past where we're at, Jorian. That's the policy, because there's a lot of people experiencing this for the first time. I myself have been to Shadowbringers, but I have not finished Shadowbringers, so I'm going to enter new territory when we get there. Forward, comrades! The time has come to drive the Empire from Alamigo and force action upon those who have turned their backs to our suffering for so long. Slash charisma roll, charisma roll, charisma roll. Alamigo will be free. No, it really won't. And yeah, this is why I pointed out yesterday that all of the Griffin's speechifying was entirely charisma and not int. It's all appeals to emotion. It's all appeals to, hi, is that a sage outfit? That is totally a sage outfit. It's all appeals to things that are not reason, to put it as bluntly as I can. Now, there's such a thing as too much reason, but this was never going to work. From what Papalimo told me, the trail ahead should lead us into the shadow of the wall. We have two objectives, so we shall divide our forces. I will make straight way for the tunnels and attempt to intercept our comrades ere they stumble into a bloodbath. You will scale the wall. Yep. Yep. That's my job. Once we free the tunnels, we will make for your position with all due haste. And if everything proceeds according to plan, Hilda will then swoop in and spirit us to safety. I only pray we have enough time. Hi, Loner. God, yeah, this... I'm trying really, really hard not to talk about, like, modern history. Yeah, Star Destroyer, take the wall on. You got it. That's Major. Alright, so let's invite... Come on, there we go. Let's see that it doesn't cancel this time. Dramatic pause. Hey, there we go. I mean, this is a popular dungeon, so if everybody who is currently on wants to give me a number between 1 and 100 for joining, go ahead and do so. I will just roll our new number here. Okay. I do, in fact, have a D100 right here. What it actually is, so I guess I'll explain a little bit of D&D. What it is these are technically 2 D10s, but one of them has double digits and one of them has single digits. So you see the idea. This forms the first digit, this forms the second digit. So if I roll that, this says 10 and this says 5. So 15, right? And that's a D100. Yep. We call them percentile dice. Extremely useful for a lot of things in not just D&D, but most pen and paper. Anyways, so the reason I chortled was the number was 59, so I guess we'll go give it to Serona here, who guessed 60. Is everybody the class they want to be? Because if so, I will go ahead and deeps. I guess I'll just do a ready check. In real life history, I mean, the problem is this is frickin' Poland, isn't it? Which time? Yeah. Alright, let's do it. I'll make sure we're syncing. Full the show. There we go. Dungeons. Heaven's Word, technically. Very end of Heaven's Word. Did anyone here not hear the tale of the terrible, terrible group I did this with just a few days ago? Because I'll repeat it, because it deserves to be repeated. It's the worst group I've ever gotten in this game. Yeah, I'll be reading some of the dialogue in this one. I normally don't, but... Yeah, that's the one gig where just everything went wrong. Where I was healing on Pug, and the tank decided to triple pull without using any abilities to live, and melted. Go figure. Also notice we're seeing some new models for the first time, including the Magitech Sky Armor from Final Fantasy VI. So you see how Serona just pulled a 2-pack here? Imagine this plus the pack that's right around that corner. You can't see it, but it's there. That is exactly what this tank did, without hitting any live buttons. So yeah, the tank melted. That was my first sign that things were going badly. I was blamed for it, of course, because I was healing. And they always blame the healer when the tank is stupid. In my experience. Oh, I know, Jorian. It's just... That actually happened to me last night in the dungeon I can't remember the name of. This is the 3rd pack right here. It's the one where you have to stand in, like, the crystals to be able to attack the Ahriman boss. It's not a good dungeon. And so the tank was like, I'm gonna pull 5 packs, melt! And I'm like, you realize I don't even have an instant cast at this level, right? Other than, you know, new regen, whatever it's called. And I just want to stress, that was just pugging, too. We're here at minimum eye level synced, because, you know, We're not crap, but of course Sirona's probably actually hitting live buttons. Hey, offshore Twitch account. So that's 2 wipes already in the pug. Oh yeah, nobody picked up the key there, so we had to go back and get the key. Then this happened. So for those of you who know, if you didn't actually see this, you see what's going on there? The Sky Armors fixate. If you don't know what fixate means, in gameplay terms, it means they completely ignore their aggro table, and they just focus on one target to the exclusion of all else. So both of the Sky Armors fixated me. The DPSs completely ignored the Sky Armors. This was sign number 2 that I was in for a bad time. Exactly 5. Where are my heals? God. Actually, I stayed alive. We didn't wipe, but tank died. I kind of let the tank die, to be honest, but I kept the healers up. And by healer, I mean the DPS is up. And the healer. Then we got to this boss, the first boss, Mime Out, if you're paying attention. This boss isn't that complex. I can't think of any Pika, but I'm sure there's one somewhere. I mean, most of the other ads don't hurt that much, so the one who was tanking, by all intents and purposes, Loner, was me. Hey, look! A fixate mechanic. You can guess how this went. Guess who killed these enforcements? I'll just tell you. It was me. I was on my white mage, if you're wondering. So, I was the one who had to kill those because the DPS were completely ignoring them. They were also standing in the Magitek Ray a lot. That was fun. I mean, it was a 60 white mage. I can do decent damage on that. It's just, you know... Then we have the missile mechanic. Exactly what it looks like. That's actually it. That's the whole boss, by the way. We wiped on this boss. Oh, absolutely, Blade Turbo. I'm just reciting it piece by piece because it won't actually get really bad until we get to the last boss, the Griffin. Spoilers. Now we're just gonna focus. Die. Die. There we go. I'm gonna hug the healer. Where's the healer? Aw. I can't missile the healer. So far this dungeon's not bad, not great. It's got some decent trash design, but nothing fantastic. The first boss is fairly basic. And now we have an elevator section. So, I'm just going to give this away right now. Some of the trash that shows up for this elevator section is a whole lot of small, low health, high damage mobs. It's these little guys. These go down pretty fast, but they can hurt like just way more than you'd think they would. Naturally, guess who couldn't keep aggro off me for several key seconds, causing me to die? Now, I have no idea how the hell they managed that one, because, as we've talked about before, they've made keeping threat a joke ever since Stormblood, I think. But a few seconds was all it took for them to shred me. Now, in fairness, this is partially my fault for being up in melee, but I was up in melee because I was casting Holy. For those of you not aware, Holy is a stun. In other words, it's a way to help mitigate the amount of damage your tank is taking while they're being hit by a bunch of things. So I'm like, holy thud! Release. I'm back. You know that thing where people blame you for the fact that they suck, too? You ever have that happen? Because I have. Good times. Good times. Nice insight into, the inside of the wall here, by the way, which is where we are right now. So yeah, now we've got a bunch of little things, and one of the grip claws. These guys can be fun. I'm actually saving that button for this. Because... You notice how more ads show up in the middle of that trash bowl? I knew that was coming. So yeah, we wiped here on this trash pack. I've lost count. How many wipes were we up to at this point? But yeah, by the way, if you think these claws are terrifying, I'm going to try to give you a little insight into what they look like up close. Hang on. I might have to wait till one of them dies. I don't know if you can tell, but they actually have a face right there. Do you see that? A little robotic face in the palm. Why do they have faces? Your guess is as good as mine. How would you use those as a mount? I've seen people use those as mounts, and I'm just like, what? Then again, people use a giant spider as a mount over in WoW, so what the hell do I know? It's expensive, too. It's one of the Gill Sync, or the Gold Sync mounts. It's like 1 million gold. So, second boss, a little bit more interesting than the first one. If you're noticing a lot of FF6 references here, well, get used to that. This is actually an enemy from FF6. The XIV, I believe it was originally called. Or no. Dude, I don't remember. I don't remember what it was called. It was called something. Ravana is my favorite Chocobo party. Easy question. So, he does a mechanic where this shows up. If you move or use abilities while it happens, you take damage. Now, there's a little bit of leeway time, but as you might imagine, my DPS were dying every single time that happened. And I do mean dying, because it does a crap ton of damage. And I think their gear was crap. Then we have this happen. Remember these? If you don't, I'll remind you. They're a bunch of little guys who do a lot of damage but have low health. You can already see where that story is going. I think you can fill in the blanks there. I'm not going to bore you with the rest of that. Then that attack happens. That's a simple unavoidable. And then we stop. If you mouse over, by the way, it will actually say, penalty will be assessed for any action. Like that. So that's what happens when we move during it, if you're wondering. Thank you for the demonstration. Now, again, this is a fairly simple boss, but it's a fairly well-constructed boss. Was it literally armored weapon? Interesting. I believe you. Actually, I don't believe you, but it would take 10 seconds to look it up myself, and I just don't have that kind of time. Oh, yeah, it's also got that attack, sorry. I was looking at the screen. Lethal weapon! Or rather, letho weapon is what it was called back in the SNES. There we go. Ah, whatever. Screw it. It's worth it! It's worth it! Where are my heels? God! And that's kind of what I was going through. Yeah, where are my heels? Flail! Okay. I actually do enjoy that fight. It's simple, but it's got some fun mechanics. And it encourages you to pay attention, so I like it. Now we have the final bundle of trash. So this is actually kind of weird because there's only, I think, 3 packs of trash here. One big, which is that gunship, and then a whole lot of littles. See, I was prepped for that boss because I've done Karazhan. Points if you get it. You notice, by the way, this is one of those barrier bosses, or barrier trash mites, which they started doing way back in ARR, and have been doing inconsistently since then. But I actually, as I've said several times, I like this style of design. It's a very good design mentality when it comes to designing trash fights, because you can pretty much guarantee, A, people aren't going to overpull, B, you can design your trash around exactly how much you know the players are going to be fighting, and C, it gives a better pacing to the dungeon rather than just... Very good, camper. Last bit of trash. I think it's this or the next one, but as you can see, it's just a bunch of cohorts. Strange how the trash is getting weaker as we go up. No, I wouldn't worry about it. I should probably mention that the 2 DPS who were with me had never done the dungeon before. No, there is one more back. I was right. So, you know, they kept seeing all the cutscenes, which obviously I'll wait for. Duh. But that's part of why I was as willing to wait as I could. Oh my god! Wait, I need to switch logs down to here, I think? Oh, no, it didn't. Oh, shoot. Well, anyways, the Griffin orders them to die. Go kill them. Did it seriously not track that dialogue anywhere? I'm tracking everything on all 4 of my... across all 4 of my tabs. It looks like I didn't track it. Alright, whatever. I have to be really on reading this stuff. We go here, apparently. And as we defeat them, I was actually pointing the camera there just so you could see it blows up the way, and once again we see the tiered trash. So, that's it except for the last boss. Now this boss has several mechanics. Get your lore shocks ready. We're about to get the secret identity of the Griffin. He is secretly Ilbert. Oh my god, lore shock! And he's still an asshole. Yeah, what a twist. Yeah. Oh no, he's an asshole! Alright, so this actually is a fun fight from a gameplay perspective. I'll actually give him that one. It's a nice cap to Heavensward. So he's got a big ol' hit, which he just did right there.
How'd you like this?
He's got a don't look at him, which, by the way, everyone was getting hit by except for me, because apparently the idea of looking away from an enemy doesn't even occur to them. He has that move, where he just hits everything in the universe.
I'll tear you limb from limb.
Also, he says sloppy a lot, which is why people meme that, because he says it a lot. He's got a lot of HP, too, relatively speaking.
For Alamigo!
So then he does this attack. So this is a big ol' hit. I'm gonna go ahead and hit a button here.
I have you now.
Then we have to choose a blade and kill it. Now, in the group I was in, nobody was DPSing the blades except for me. It's okay, I'm a white mage. I was capable of killing that blade on my own. But, yeah, you can see how that sort of sucked. So I was the only one DPSing those swords. Hang on, it gets worse. Because he has another mechanic he hasn't used yet. I'm waiting for it. Should be any second now. There it is. He puts this restraining collar on someone, almost always the healer. Hey, hey. I think it's actually literally always the healer, unless the healer's dead. Strain Caller has to be DPS down, otherwise it kills the healer. Guess what the DPS wasn't doing? So naturally, as you might imagine, we wiped there because I died, and that was the end of that. That happened several times. Finally, they realized they needed to DPS the thing down, and they started DPSing the chain down. Okay, we've got this. We'll finally get through this fight. Nope, they didn't have the DPS to break the chain before it killed me.
For Alamigo!
Their DPS was so crap, they could not DPS the chain before it killed me. I'll remind you, this was on a pug, which is relevant because we were not minimum eye leveled. This was just standard roulette.
How'd you like this? Yeah!
They were just the worst. It was just the worst group I've ever had. I don't even know how we finally beat this guy. It was, I think it was 7 attempts total, something like that. It was 5 or 7. Oh, you know. Good fight, though. Good mechanics. Even layered mechanics. He stuns you and then hits a huge area, so you want to avoid the stun. So you're penalized for not avoiding the stun. Stuff like that. Good job, everyone, as always. And thank you, Geludo. Much obliged. I will put that towards Fallout 2. I apologize for mostly talking about that terrible, terrible group, but oh my god! I needed a vent! Yeah, that's pretty much the end of Heaven's Word right there. So, good job, everyone. Good job. Woo. So yes, Gameplay Plus for Baelsar's Wall. Okay. No! Run! Quick! Run!
You've beaten me, aye. But you cannot stop what I've begun. Behold, a glimpse of things to come.
I almost feel pity for Ilbert, because he is insane. And I don't mean that as an insult. He is gone.
We did it! We showed the bastards! Aye! Victory is ours!
And who knows, lads? Mayhap the Eorzeans will finally see sense when the enemy turns up on their bloody doorstep.
It's a common one, historically, Belvedrix. It's happened a lot over the years.
This is for Alamigo, for Eorzea. They die that others may live.
So yeah, it's already bad, right? Then Laurentius, remember him? And that asshole, remember him? From ARR? They do this.
Vanguards! Attack!
Seven hells! Do you hear that?
War machines. How did they get here so quickly?
Stand your ground! For the resistance!
This is a good showcasing of the difference in power between us and them, too. So I'll give it credit on that front. Remember, we just fought one of these things.
There's nowhere to run. We're cut off.
The thing that bothers me the most is I really believe these people thought they could defeat the Garleans. Like, I think they actually thought that. Out of ignorance, or naivete, or maybe just willful foolishness.
Gods help us! What were we thinking? The Empire's too big. Too powerful.
Oh, they absolutely weren't, Dakota. And you're right, this was a suicide assignment.
Mighty Rhalgr,
Yeah.
grant us the strength to crush our...
Oh, I totally did, Omega Legion. Because remember, we've had this whole lead up about crystals and summoning a new primal, and it's like, oh god, they're going to summon Rhalgr right here.
There you are.
As you can see, our infiltrators did not elude me for long. Lady Ugiri is sending for an airship even as we speak.
What do we do? This is a massacre!
How wonderful to see you, Commander.
Ilbird, I should have known. This has to end. It has to end now. Do you not see your countrymen dying? Have your ideals rendered you blind even to that? Order the retreat, and we will help your soldiers to safety.
Retreat? With the moment of my triumph so close at hand, you truly are a sheltered child, Leverrier.
Nidhogg's eyes. No abyss is too deep for you, I see. But trust me when I say that such power was not meant for mortal hands.
How long have I struggled to reach this point? My countrymen, so inured to the taste of defeat, they no longer balk at its bitterness, shouting my throat raw with rallying cries, only to be greeted with dull eyes and blank faces. My brothers and sisters in Ulda have surrendered to their apathy and their appetites. Were it not for the glint of Lodorito's coin, I doubt even those here now would have answered my call. Take back our homeland! Free Alamigo! Ha! They'll happily mouth the words, but they won't spill the blood. You say no mortal should wield these eyes? Then I shall gladly become a demon. I will suckle on the souls of the hopeless and liberate the homeland they no longer deserve.
What exactly do you mean to do?
Did you hear their cries as victory was snatched away from them? Even with their dying breaths, they cursed the Empire. Never has their desire for vengeance been so raw, so true. A god has no need of faith when summoned by so pure a purpose.
Summoned? You cannot mean to fight the Empire with a primal? You know full well the danger, the futility of relying on such power.
Oh yes, I know their limitations. Which is why I will call upon a deity more terrible than the very black worm of the calamity itself.
What? Here? Now?
Like hells you will!
An ending to mark a new beginning. My pain, my longing, you shall have it all! Ah!
I mentioned earlier an objective negative to the Griffin. The Griffin gets exactly what he wanted. He gets no comeuppance, no rejoinder. Nothing is ever done to actually make this better. He just wins. And when you introduce a character specifically designed to be hated, not fulfilling on that is, arguably, objectively, bad writing. Imagine introducing a slimy corporate executive who just gets away with it at the end and walks away scot-free. For example.
This light, is it... His death completed the ritual. The primal is taking shape.
Well, can't we stop it? There must be something we can do!
There is one thing.
What? Hey! Where do you think you're going?
Master Louisoix briefly contained Bahamut by means of a potent spell of sealing. I will now attempt to do the same.
But that's impossible! We would need hours to collect the necessary ether, if not days!
Ah, Alphino, though I concede it may not always be apparent, I was ever your grandsire's finest pupil.
Timtimati, of course! The staff still holds enormous power, broken or not.
Don't you dare, Papalimo! I know how that spell works. It is time to leave!
Quite right. Quickly now, off you go! The further away, the better!
No! If you're staying, then so am I!
No, Ida! There is a path only you can walk, and it must not end here, not like this! Take her! Please, you have to take her!
Yeah, she's not going to go on her own will, so that's going to be our job. Like, quite literally.
Damn it, Thancred! Put me down! Thancred!
This is one battle you cannot fight. Away with you! Go!
Hilda! I think he means now!
I stayed last time, by the way. Yeah, he literally magics you back. He just and sends you flying back into the ship.
I bid thee farewell again, my dear Ida. Now, let us see how good a student I truly was.
I regret that we didn't get to see more of Papalymo. Yeah, exactly, Kata. Papalymo should have gotten more screen time. But alas. I was actually just looking for it, but I'm not sure if it works in it. Oh, yep, there it is. As I say, I wasn't sure if it was true for a New Game Plus. But yeah, there it is. Dying cardboard golem. How can dying people... Something fiction tends to step over a couple of times is that when you are shot and lay down and you're dead, actually you die minutes or even hours later. So think about all the piles of corpses who can't move anymore, or bleeding out, or are barely conscious, and it has been explained to me what the light represents, but I've ordered our forces to stand ready. It seems we could do a little bit wait. I understand only too well the desire to reclaim one's homeland, but I cannot condone such slaughter. Yeah, exactly. The brain stops moving last of everything. So. Oh, unfortunately, I can't answer that, Logue. Sorry. The Ishgardian gets taught that the sea of clouds churns in the grip of warring elements of water and wind. Hey, they actually mention it after the bridge. Enough to tear you apart, they say. No one's ever going to gone to the bottom of the abyss and lived to tell the tale. So how did he get his hands on Nidhogg's eyes? I like how Hilda's the one who tells us that. How many more must we lose? Papalymo knew what he was doing. Yeah, he did. And let's be clear, what Papalymo just did probably saved a lot of lives. Let's just be very clear about that. Why didn't they let me stay? Papalymo's my friend. I should have been there with him. Now, in credit to Ida, that line right there is everything about her characterization you really need to know in one nutshell. I should have stayed there with him. He was my friend. There's no intellect to that. There's no strategy, no cause, and no purpose. All that would have happened if she stayed was she would also die. That's it. But that's not the way Ida thinks. That's not the way that she operates. All she cares about is the fact that her friend died without her at his side. And you see how this expansion... well, okay, we're not actually into Stormblood, but you can see how we're already building into that recurring motif of ignoring the logical and the reasonable in favor of the emotional. And this will be a recurring motif in several ways when we get to Stormblood. You could see it in his eyes. He knew what had to be done, Ida. Master Louis Soir wore the same look right before the end. You think I don't know that? I know, alright? I know. There's nothing more we could have done. Ilberd caught us all off guard. Even Lore was powerless to stop him. Yeah, just argue for that negative even more, Thancred. If you must blame someone, then blame me. Just promise you will never forget what Papalymo strove to protect, or the lessons he tried to teach you. Oh, don't speak to me. Leave Ida with me. Go on, get back to the Rising Stones. The others need to know what happened here. Hey, Rex. Sorry. So... I would really love to give the Griffin a negative. I would. It kind of comes into that whole how subjective these reviews are question, which we've asked many times. Because I don't like the Griffin. I still don't. That hasn't changed even with analysis mode. But I don't like someone is not really a good enough reason to give them a negative, right? Or maybe it is, or maybe it isn't, and hence the question. Yeah, Ilberd, I hate Ilberd as a character. Like, a lot. Once again, I find myself at a loss for words. But Thancred is right. We must return and apprise our companions of this. Yeah, no, the problem is he is a decently written... Like, I can't bash him for being badly written, because he's not. And I can't, you know, say, oh, this sucks, because it doesn't. It's just... I mean, you saw the scene, right? We just saw it. The problem, and I really don't want to sound negative for Stormblood, is I have a feeling Stormblood might get a negative for external continuity, re-Ilberd. Not sure yet, but we'll get there. In fact, I'm gonna jot down that note right down to make sure I don't forget it. That being said, I have to give that cutscene a positive. It was actually a pretty damn good cutscene. The summoning, the corpses, the song, Papalimo's sacrifice. I have to give that a positive. Well, I gave it 2 negatives, so that'll have to do for now. Sorry. Taro says, why does everyone look so grim? Well... It would seem you bring ill tidings, brother. Behind Griffin's mask, we found the mace of an old adversary. Ilberd! Dun, dun, dun. I know not how, but he had in possession the eyes of Needhog, both of them, whose dread power he used to initiate a summoning ritual even as we looked on and did nothing. I don't understand. To attempt such a magic requires every ounce of one's ether. Not even grandfather could cast it and hope to survive. Yeah. Yeah. It was a last resort, as I am certain Papalimo was aware. Thus did the pupil follow in the footsteps of the master, even unto the grave. I have as yet been unable to explain how Ilberd came to possess Needhog's eyes. In the depths... Hey, it's the second time they're bringing this up. In the depths of the sea clouds, a perpetual storm of water and wind-aspected ether rages. No mortal could endure such conditions. It mayhap it was the work of an Ascian, but now is not the time for idle speculation. Krile, I have need of your assistance. Yes, of course. We must inspect the cocoon of light and ascertain the state of the primal trapped within. Between our respective talents, I dare say we shall glean some measure of insight. Understood. I can't promise I'll make much sense through the barrier, but I'll do my best. As shall I. Let's see about it, then. What, not without so much as a by your leave? Pray forgive Archon Ishtola her brevity. She seeketh employment, lest her grief deprive her of the will to act. A common reaction. A desire to comfort Ida, doubtless compounded by her unseemly haste. I too shall contend with this grievous loss in mine own way. By thy leave, Lady Alize, I shall honor our fallen colleague through gainful study. There may exist such writings which may further our understanding of this cocoon of light. Oh, absolutely, U.S. Corp. Then again, someone mentioned this earlier in chat. If the expansions were restructured so it's ARR, Stormblood, Heavensward, Shadowbringer, I really think that would flow better from a zoomed-out narrative perspective, but that's just me. Mayhap I was too quick to judge. Surrendering to sadness and regret would be a poor tribute to Papalimo's sacrifice. Quite. We must begin preparations to face Ilberd's accursed creation without delay. What time we have was purchased at all too dear a price for us to squander it. Yeah, Robostal, you're the one. Thank you. I saw it in chat, I just didn't catch the name. Good morning, Blackfile. The obvious solution. 4 quests to Stormblood, by the way. Lore, I wish to tell you more, but the situation of the East Round remains largely unchanged, meaning we still have no idea how long it'll be before... Hang on, commit for 1 moment. What's that? All hell broke loose? A storm of blood, you might say. Sorry. Word from Gridania. The council will be reconvened shortly. The Alliance leaders have already begun to assemble. They wish to discuss the Primal, of course. At Yshtola's last report, the cocoon yet hung above the wall unchanged. Yes, but the Elder Seedseer doubtless shares our concern on how long it'll remain so. I am told Sid has been called in to add his expertise. A wise decision. The more minds we have working on this, the better. Well then, let's make haste. Leave the Rising Stones in Tataru's gainful care. I think so, Blade Terval. But there's a couple of hmms about that. You would have to shuffle a couple of raids and a couple of patch quests around. Like the big meeting quest would have to be shuffled back to just before Shadowbringers instead of, you know, just before Heavensward, but I think it could work. Speaking of pluses to story, put me firmly in the...
Good sir. This place, it is within the realm of Eorzea.
Put me firmly in the he's awesome camp. I know he's kind of a contentious character, but...
You're an odd-looking fellow, aren't you? Still, takes all sorts, I suppose. This here's Vesper Bay. Thanalan's door to the ocean, as some folk like to call it.
Am I to understand from your answer that I have indeed arrived in Eorzea?
Hey? Yes? You're in Eorzea?
I've heard a weird amount of people that don't like Gosetsu. Yeah, I don't know why. Don't ask me.
Ah! A plain response at last, and the one I wanted at that. My journey was not without its hardships, and I would sooner travel by land than put to sea again. You do not believe that so small a bark could bear me across the ocean? Such timid little sailors. I had but to set my course and set my jaw till I made port. Though, 'twould perhaps have been wise to lay down my oars a moment to sup on more than the spray of brine water. By the trembling of my limbs, I sense a brief repast may be in order. Nay, I will not hearken to the feeble grumblings of an empty belly. Duty comes before all.
I should also mention that his voice actor helped sell his character a lot for me, personally.
Bang! Good man, are you alright?
Sorry. Hashtag relatable. I wonder how much his sword is. On the plus side, he made such a kerfuffle that I'm sure people will notice.
Thou art far indeed from home, friend.
Oh, they totally do, Omega Legion. Sometimes good, sometimes bad, but they definitely make the attempt consistently, and I appreciate it, personally. Sorry for the delay. Yeah, if you're British, you probably heard the voice actors. A lot of these voice actors before. British company.
Dear friends, pray accept my heartfelt thanks for your efforts in defense of Gridania's borders. I would fain dwell longer on my gratitude for the support of the Alliance, but the situation at Belsar's Wall demands that we forego such pleasantries.
According to our most recent intelligence, the cocoon of light that formed in the air above the wall remains undimmed and unbroken. After measuring the cocoon's etheric concentrations, Archon Y'shtola has confirmed the presence of a primal entity.
So we must assume that Ilbert's thrice damned god is indeed trapped within. And what news of the Imperials? They're not like to ignore such a spectacle.
Sir, a Garlean airship was observed making an approach, but the vessel was destroyed when it drew near. The Empire appears to have made no subsequent attempts to reach the object.
The soldiers who witnessed the incident spoke of a lance of light issuing from within the cocoon. Of an entire warship being reduced to smoking ruin in the space of a moment. Veterans of Cartano, meanwhile, likened the destruction to that wrought by the fiery wrath of Bahamut.
We could face another calamity.
So the Primal is awake then? Contained, yes, but for how long? We must destroy it now, lest it break free.
Agreed. There is, however, the small matter of how to get close enough to a being that swats warships from the sky as you would a bothersome gnat.
The name of this quest is The Obvious Solution.
Is this truly so complex a puzzle? Or have you no stomach for the obvious solution?
Hi, Nero.
What in the hells are you doing here?
A pleasure to see you too, Garland. Now, if you'd be so kind as to explain to these good people why you should be begging me for my assistance, that would be most appreciated.
Who is this man?
An asshole, but a very smart one.
Oh, how terrifically rude of me. Nero Tolskeva, former tribunus of the 14th Legion of the Garlean Empire. These days, however, one might say that I'm something of a free agent.
What do you want, Nero?
I was getting to that. Although you already know what I'm about to propose, old friend. As you have rather belatedly realized, within that frail binding lurks an entity alike in strength to the great Bahamut, and the only force in existence which might conceivably contend with such a foe is the very creation which captured the Elder Primal in the first place. I speak, of course, of Omega.
Omega? That hulk has been gathering dust beneath the plains of Cartano since the Allagans breathed their last. And none alive knows how to wake it.
I'm sorry? Do you understand who it is with whom you have the privilege of speaking? I'm Nero Tolskeva, Master Engineer, the mechanical genius who restored the Ultima weapon to full operational capacity. And as luck would have it, I am graciously offering you the use of my considerable expertise.
And what, you just expect us to accept? You're a fool if you think your deeds at the Crystal Tower are enough to win my trust, Nero.
Trust? You wound me, Garland. All those years, studying side by side at the Academy, sharing both trial and triumph, we were countrymen once, you and I. But sentiment aside, have you a better solution? Or do you mean to send in your vaunted hero there, as you always do, and pray the world is not engulfed in flame?
I'm not going to say anything.
Let us approach the problem in a rational manner. Does not the fact that Omega slumbers in stasis point to the existence of some overriding technology? A means of control?
No.
I would ask a question, if I may. Nero, was it not? In the event that we succeeded in using Omega to shackle the Primal in the manner you propose, what then would become of it? Do we not risk repeating the mistakes of the Alagans?
That's two pronunciations of that word now.
Omega is but a tool. How we choose to employ that tool is entirely up to us. Of course, if you would rather leave it buried beneath Cartano while you continue your petty squabbles above, then I suppose that is also your choice.
Spare us, Nero. The Seedseer's concern is a valid one. He who controls Omega wields the power of the gods, the very power which led the Alagans to destroy themselves.
Okay, so that's 2 for Alagon and 1 for Alagan.
And does it not fall to we engineers to prevent such misuse? What was your company's proud slogan? Freedom through technology?
A creed you follow, is it? What say you? Do we take this villain at his word?
Are you asking me? No, but I'll keep an eye on him.
As will I. I don't like it, but then it doesn't look like we have much choice.
I mean, I do have this spear, or Naginata, or whatever, right here. Like a glaive, maybe? I don't know.
Would the Council be willing to entrust this matter to a pair of former Imperials?
Got another option?
Yes. The task of restoring the Alagan relic will be yours. But the responsibility for its reawakening must remain with the Council. Do we condone this course of action?
Aye. It would seem we do. Let the record show that we invest this contingent with the authority to enter Cartano and take command of Omega.
Yeah, sorry. So everyone's laboring under the assumption that Omega is an Alagan construct still. Now, I'm only pointing that out because we already know exactly how much luck we have with the Alagan technology, and we know exactly how messed up and horrible they've been. That's been shoved into our face repeatedly across multiple dungeons, a raid and a half, depending on how you define that, and an entire zone.
Cid, I appoint you leader of the expedition. Scions, I would ask that you assign some few of your number to escort Master Garland and supervise the other one.
We quite literally have a museum, good dungeon, which is devoted to showcasing how messed up the Alagans really were. Hi, Cronin. Oh yeah, also
we should be happy to oblige.
the Dalamud.
The politics of Cartano being what they are, I dare say our neutrality will prove useful in avoiding any unnecessary entanglements.
Yeah, I wasn't even mentioning. Damn it, Yankee. I wasn't even mentioning the, 1.0, Dalamud, Bahamut, all of that.
If I am not mistaken, Doma occupies a similarly neutral position. Might we not persuade you to join the expedition, Lady Yugiri? If you suspected any foul play from Nero, you would be welcome to kill him.
My blade is yours.
By the way, what Rax is talking about, how Nero is shoving all his eggs into one basket and trusting in his int. This is the definition of high int, low whiz.
Not a moment's hesitation, eh? You'll forgive me if I do not shake your hand.
And yeah, you're right. Crystal Tower, too. And frickin', I think of his name all of a sudden. The villain from FF3. Oh my god, I can't think of his name. Idiot boy. Muscly man. Should have been a monk. Zand, that's it, Zand. Or Zandy, I've heard some people say it that way. Well, that was an unexpected development. One which raises a number of questions, not the least of which how Nero chanced to learn of the council meeting in the first place. So this quest is named The Greater Obeisance. Yes, just... You can tell, this just has bad idea pasted all over it. Someone came by with a freaking gigantic, you know those paint rollers, and just started smearing bad idea all over this entire sequence of events. Oh yeah, it's not actually in the paint aisle, appropriately. I should probably mention they haven't even said what the primal in the shield is yet, too. Nero insisted on inspecting the Excelsior before we go off, and you let him? Calm yourself. We're cool. You good? He's there. Oh God, Lowe's? That's terrible. Okay, let's go to Cartno. But I already did my PvP stuff. I thought time was against us. How foolish of me. Nero has a really strong habit of belittling other people for valid questions and then coming up with terrible questions and acting like he's smart. It's part of why I don't like Nero. I know a lot of people like him. And, I don't begrudge people that. But the problem, I think, and I've actually thought about this for some time, is I've known people like Nero in real life. Narcissists, both great and small, who have had that kind of mentality, Even down to the specifics. And it's just, I just grates on me, This is interesting. I do not care for that man. Yeah. What manner of airship has no private cabins? Then again, I suppose Garland has to find somewhere to stow his half-baked contraptions. I don't think this airship has cabins, period. It has a deck. Not quite good to service, but, I would agree that he reminds me of Loki in the MCU, except I actually like Loki in the MCU. Although, let's be honest, how much of that is Tom Hiddleston? I've talked about that so many times. Good actors can and often do salvage characters that otherwise shouldn't be enjoyable. Ross. Speaking of, Kai Wynn, one of my perfect examples there. Be careful, friend, with the walking weapons of Aleg. Sorry, Allegon, so that would be Alag then. The walking weapons of Alleg were expressly used to subdue primals, but men like Gaius always seek to use them against mankind. If it falls to us to ensure Omega is never employed as a weapon of war. No comment. One was created to capture Bahamut, the other to surpass him, which will prove the stronger, I wonder. Fear not, I shall keep a close eye on our new ally. I know Nero as a guest here, but we don't exactly have the happiest history, do we? So, my question to you is, do I offer him tea? Oh, I love you so much, Chitara. You're so adorable. Pat, pat, pat. Alright, so. Oh, hang on, I have 2 more people I can talk to. Hoary Boulder and his companions left to continue reconnaissance on the Beast tribes. They were adamant about shouldering what burdens they could, while the senior scions are occupied with the Cocoon emergency. There's a movie I haven't seen in a while. And yeah, you're right. Although I agree, it was probably mostly Lucas's fault. Yes, we're savages.
So these are the fabled headquarters of the Scions. I confess I would have expected an order of self-proclaimed warrior scholars to surround themselves with the fruits of man's enlightenment. And yet there's not so much as a single piece of magitech in sight. It never ceases to amaze me how primitive you Eorzeans truly are.
Oh, I'll have you know that the Rising Stones is home to the very latest in magitech innovation. Wedge calls it the Mark 14 Thermocoil Boilmaster, and it's the finest kettle I've ever had the pleasure to own.
Oh my god, I forgot that was there. Remember this line, okay? For like, probably a few days from now, probably next week. Remember this line.
We are returned. Well, Ida and I, at least. Ishtola and the others remained behind to continue their assessment of the binding magic.
There didn't seem much point staying just for that, so I decided to come back with Alphino. Papalimo bought us this time. We shouldn't waste it.
By your leave!
I guess that's
God,
it.
that voice could fell a gigas.
This is the Rising Stones, domicile of the Scions of the Seventh Dawn. I enter at the invitation of one Lord Urianger. I spy you there, Shadow Walker. You always were a hard one to find.
Yugiri, do you know this man?
Gosetsu, why are you come to Eorzea?
In search of you, Yugiri. For days and nights did I row across the angry sea. I made port in good spirits, only for my own flesh to betray me over the trifling matter of an empty belly. Collapsed in the street like an unfed stray I was, until Lord Urianger came to my aid. Over a most welcome meal, we spoke of the plight of Doma, and I learned of our displaced countrymen's work to resettle this blighted land. 'Twas blind fortune that I was able to locate you so swiftly, but now we must make ready to depart. Our master languishes in dire peril, and Doma calls her daughter home.
It is not so simple, Gosetsu. There are obligations which bind me here.
You refuse? Did you mislay your oath during your flight from our homeland? The laws of hospitality must be honored, but surely the vow to defend your master demands the greater obeisance.
It was our master who bid me guide our people to safe haven by any means necessary. And it was the Scions you see before you who provided us succor and sanctuary when all others refused. Dire peril or no, Were I to return without first repaying such hospitality, our master would cut me down at the threshold.
Mayhap that is so.
There is more. A crisis threatens all within this realm, Eorzean and Doman alike, and I go to play my part in its resolution. I will not bring shame upon our liege by abandoning my people or my duty.
How very noble of you. Now, in the name of honor, kinship, and, yes, practicality, might I suggest we get this expedition underway? Or would you rather debate the finer points of duty and leave Omega to the Empire?
The Empire? You, Giddy? You draw steel against the curse of Garlemald? Then why did you not say so? My blade is oath-bound to fall upon the ranks of the Imperials wheresoever they march. Lead on, Shadow Walker, and may the enemy tremble at our coming.
It would be so easy for Gazetsu to be an irritating character, right? Like if he was the honor at all else, including reason, or if he was an unreasonable character, if he was frustrating, if he was the kind of, you know, too stubborn to the point of actually being an obstacle to the narrative or to the main characters or whatever. But no, instead he's like, oh, I got your back, let's do this. Yeah. Oh, the Garleans? I got this. Bong. You remember when I had you meet me at the Diamond Forge and we ambushed you? Get it in my nightmares. Well, once I had your measurements, I made you an outfit. Here you go, which I need to get a hold of at some point. You can try it on now if you like. No, I can't. Maybe it'll show it off anyways, I don't know. That looks a lot like my gathering gear. Assuming we measured correctly, the fit should be right. Snug, but not too snug. So how does it feel? This is going to sound weird, but I actually don't like that outfit. I like most of the outfits she designs. Oh, she designs. But, the legs don't work at all for me. The upper half is actually pretty good. I like that right there, what we can see on the screen. But the leggings or the pants are just off. And yeah, I don't care for the shoes either. They're not quite boots and they're not quite snuggies, and it's just, And the leggings are simultaneously too plain and too gaudy. It's weird. But yeah, the jacket's cool. I absolutely agree. The jacket's cool. Just 2 unexpected guests. I suspect each will be their own thing. Dare he mock the signs like that. If he ever just sew on traveling clothes for him, I might just forget to take out the pins. I love you, Tatar. I like how she's still talking about sewing for Nero while she's irritated by him. Never did I think to hear Gasetsu's voice. Oh yeah, and you can finally see where I get this outfit from. Yeah. My blade shall carve a path through the Empire's ranks as a scythe fills stalks of wheat. Truly, I had no idea Domans could be so loud. He and Yugiri could hardly be more different. Oh, I think he's going to fit right in. Oh, yeah. The Mark 14 Thermocoil Boilmaster. Dear me, how risible must the previous 13 iterations have been. I can design a more efficient water heater in the time it took that ill-conceived lump to become lukewarm. Well. Anyways, fly free, my pity. 2 quests to Stormblood. So we have to wake up Omega. When do we start? I'm sure, yes. I won't lie and say I'm fine, but I'll feel better if I'm doing something useful. Very well. I shall remain here and continue coordinating efforts. Alphino, maybe you could return to Gridania and assist Ishtola and Kryl. The rest of us will form at Cartano. Nero and I will focus on rousing Omega, while Lore, Ida, and our Doman friends take care of security. God, I hope so, Asdamine. We are going to do a brief pause before we actually hit Stormblood to come up with our silver number for Heavensward. I think it's going to beat ARR. Call me a weirdo. I'm pretty sure gameplay is locked in right now. Like, I can't imagine any gameplay changes will happen. So that's going to be... Let's see, plus 47, minus 38. A net positive, which already is better than ARR. I like to call Omega Weapon Atma. Partially because I actually legitimately think the name Atma sounds cooler. And partially because it helps avoid that exact problem. Yeah, that story score is, honestly, and I mean this, higher than I was expecting. If that story score is that high, I'm very curious what Shadow's gonna score. Oh, right, solo only. Sorry. So, within luck, we'll be in Cartano soon. Blah, 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 blah. Let's go. I'm not sure, Blade Tribal. We'll see. We're breaking new ground here. This is our first true MMO review. Yeah, Shadowbringers gets negative 50. What?
Now, where was that? Ah! I've enabled the teleporter. One brief jump and we shall arrive in Omega's control room.
How convenient. You've been here before.
Of course. It was no easy task threading a path through all the skirmishes. But how could I ignore the existence of such a fascinating toy? You may trust that my preliminary examination was suitably thorough.
Trust? Aye. I trust your appetite for technology.
I chased down a suspect airship, and who should I find but the traitor, Sid Garland.
Okay. I'm just gonna go ahead and admit, I don't like this character. I don't mean in the same way as Nero. Nero's at least well constructed. This guy is a moron. And I don't mean that as an insult, so I should reuse my term. He is stupid. And, I really feel like it's a disservice to the character. Yeah, he's a dumb clown.
Engineer? Something big? It's close, isn't it?
See, the problem here is, and I'm just going to say this right up front, that by memory, they tend to use him for both comedy and sadism. Like, they try to use him as a, here's how evil they are. But they also use him as a, here's how stupid they are. And it really just kind of goes boing, boing, boing. We'll see what we think of him as we go.
It's like all my name days have come at once.
Of all the scouts the Empire could have sent. Take care of that brute, will you?
God damn it. Can't let Nero tinker around in there by himself. I'm sorry to leave you to it, but I dare say you'll manage without me. This clod has no idea who he's dealing with.
Yeah, imagine Heidegger, but badly utilized. If he was just the clown, if he was the Team Rocket of Garlean, of Garlemald, that would have actually worked for me. Instead, he's...
I am Kosetsu, Samurai of Doma. You will rue your choice of opponent this day.
Hey, Darth Tyrant. Yeah, I really... Can I buy that sword? I'm sure we can afford it, Blade. I wouldn't worry about it.
You watching, Papalimo?
Leave this to me.
Look upon a samurai of Doma!
This one'll sting.
Only got some help, doesn't he? Oh yeah, we've already showed off the Red Mage class. We got to show off the Samurai class. I should have mentioned that. I've actually praised STO for this exact same mentality, and it's a good strategy, legitimately, and I mean that. Show off a little bit of what the new thing is like, so that people get more interested in it, right? Just kind of weave it in a little bit.
No holding back.
No retreat. No surrender.
Surrender, we have you outnumbered. Really? Oh, Samurai's awesome. Easily my favorite melee class. Are you still playing with the soldiers? I suppose I can lend you one of my toys, but only if you promise to bring it back. So it's the WoW problem, Omega Legion. That makes sense. Unfortunate, but it does make sense. The honorless cursing to abandon his men, I shall see he shares their fate. Pray attend to the rest of his minions. Yeah, let's explain to you what target-rich environment means. I suppose I should explain that briefly. So, much as I hate to talk about WoW.
No retreat. No surrender.
That is a big hit, my god. When they were making WoW Vanilla was actually supposed to be all the way up through Wrath. That was the original intention. Obviously that didn't and couldn't happen. There's real-life feasibility reasons, but mostly it's because at the time they were being absolutely gutted by the company that owned them, so, you know, that sucked. So instead they decided to go ahead and commit to a promise they had made, this is why I'm relating this to what's going on here. They said they would cover Outland, and they said they would cover the Northrend. That was the promise that the devs had made, and, well, there they are. So if you're paying attention, much of those two expansions were actually designed in vanilla. It's just, you know, they polished and pushed them as they went forward. Cataclysm was the first time they actually sat down and said, okay, now we can actually continue the story. And go figure, Cat is when the game actually got good. Well,
no holding back.
I'm not saying that applies here. It's just, you know, I was reminded of the scenario. Also, if I can just be real for just a second, if you ever want to see about how far Blizzard has fallen as a company, they used to make promises like that and keep them. That's the Blizzard that was, so to speak. Or do you stand your ground? Come back, please. Please. Yeah, but Audit said, I'll kill you bastards if it's the last thing I do. I should have been a samurai for this. Oh. No, I'm a stand of that.
No surrender.
Yeah, we'll see what they do. We'll see.
Look upon us!
That's years out at this point, really, before any of that is actually felt. Yeah, boy. Me too, Asdamine. Me too. I will point out the scene where I quit the game for, like, 2.5 years. But I don't remember where exactly, like how far into the game it is, so we'll see when we get there. I can tell you the zone it's in, but that doesn't help because we go through there at least twice. The odds of any of these expansions being net negative on score is insane.
Temporal stasis disengaged. All systems operational. Garland?
All clear on this side. It's waking up.
It is actually not related to Xenos. The actual scene might make people go, oh, Laura, you're dumb and stupid, but let's be clear, it was the final straw. A lot of stuff had been piling up on me, and it was just the final thing I was just sick of, and I was like, you know what, I'm done with this. But I'll point it out. It's in the first zone. The one I've already done all the side quests in. I forget what it's called. Big ravine, bridge.
Remarkable. Omega sensors immediately detected the presence of the cocoon, even at this distance. They must have been set to scan for sources of energy exceeding certain magnitudes.
I still don't see any means to control the machine directly. It seems to have been designed to act wholly autonomously. Once we release Omega, we can be fairly certain it will attempt to capture the Primal at Belsar's Wall. Assuming its mission is successful, our only option at that point will be to re-engage its stasis system and put it back to sleep.
And should the machine happen to misbehave, we'll simply initiate an emergency shutdown. I confess we don't yet have a complete grasp of its capabilities, but I'm certain the details will not elude us for long.
Well, I understood less than half of that. So, my question to you is, are we doing the right thing?
No. This is such a terrible idea.
I suppose not.
It's alright, Ida. I will fix this. Later. Much later. Probably next week.
All right. Step aside, Sid. Is this the thing I need to press?
Yes, that's the one.
You gave too much for us to waste this chance, Papalimo. So this is for you. And me.
Yes! Fly free, my pretty! Show us what you can do.
So the budget for cutscenes has gone up a little bit at Heavensward.
The launch sequence has begun. Omega is loose.
There's Shinryu. There's Omega. small commentary on the cinematography on display. Notice how Shinryu is very flowery, moves around lots. Omega is very efficient, no wasted energy. It goes exactly where it needs to in order to attack and no more. Always a beam battle. That's a good question, Fife. But possibly? The thing that would make Primal Bahamut possibly stronger is the, centuries of absorbing ether. But then again, Shinryu is powered by 2 eyes. That won't bite us in the ass.
Huh? Omega has stopped transmitting. But that shouldn't be. I didn't engage the stasis system.
And what does this signify? I have little understanding of these contrivances.
The launch went exactly to plan, but all signals emanating from Omega have ceased. This may indicate any number of things, but we will need to join the Scions out in the field if we are to ascertain which one.
Right. I've ordered a malfunctioning beast to go to sleep. That should prevent any unfortunate mishaps. I suggest we make our way back to Gridania.
I don't remember Cardboard Golem, but I know they discussed it at some point.
Omega destroyed the cocoon. Papalimo's spell is fading. It was bound to his ether, you see. And if the connection is broken...
So anyways, plus the story. For the scene. Like I said, that was a well choreographed, well constructed scene with very, very few minor nitpicks to it. Oh my god! That's right, they invented the ability to just port to the next stop in the quest instead of forcing you to do it. I forgot they added that in Stormblood. Even though we're not quite there yet. This is the last Heavensward content, finally. We're gonna make it! We're gonna make it! Words can ill express how glad I am to see you all unharmed. When Omega came hurtling towards the cocoon, everything dissolved into chaos. Yeah. I have to see it. I have to see it with my own eyes. Ida? Okay. We're not. Gosetsu will watch over. You may attend your meeting. You're right, Rax. I'm sorry. Who are you trying to reply to? Oh, Blade Terval, who is replying to Rax. I see what the issue is there. The council reconvened a short while ago. Let's make haste. Yeah, let's tell them how we are currently alive. We've band-aided the problem to some degree of success. We have. We're not currently dying. Just hang around here. Like, Limsa, I understand. That's just a bunch of weirdos. But why are people hanging out in Gridania? Yep, we've stopped the bleeding by shoving the knife back in. Excuse me, another knife in. That's barely an exaggeration for what we just did. Well, I mean, that's why I say it that way, Rax, because honestly... I mean, spoilers, this will work out. There's an expansion after this. But, like... God, you know? My friends, blah, 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 blah. So, what the hell? We succeeded in waking Omega, but we lost contact shortly after it launched. Yeah. From our position in the control room, we were blind to all that followed. While words could do justice to such a scene, none of my choosing, that much is certain, but I can give you the facts. The cocoon hatched. As Omega arrived from its mist, rose a great dragon, Shinryo. The pair duly set upon each other in the skies over Girabania. The primal's might defied belief. It seemed the very heavens would be rent asunder by the force of its blows. And it wielded such magic as I've never seen and hope never to see again. The battle raged with no end in sight until both combatants were engulfed in a blinding flash of light. When the radiance faded, I saw a pair fall motionless from the sky, coming to rest somewhere in Alamegan soil. I will not speak for the rest, but to my eye it seemed each had landed a fatal blow upon each other. While most of us could think only of Bahamut when looking upon it, the Domans were said to whisper the name Shinryo. It would appear that the being resembles a creature of Far Eastern legend, and we have found it convenient to refer to it as such. This Shinryu's fate and that of Omega is as yet unknown. We have no eyes on the Girabanian side of the border. Reminder, that's Garlean territory. Occupied territory. But it's been occupied for 22 years? It's 20 plus years, so... That's why we've sent our main force under the command of Pippin, to capture the wall. With the Imperials in disarray, we have the perfect opportunity to secure Gridania's border and assess the aftermath of the impact. I myself will join the Marshal and his men when the Council is adjourned. That explains a few things. I'll wager that flash of light coincided with our loss of contact. Lest you wonder, we quickly re-engaged Omega's stasis occupation. Wow. Reading two things at once. Stasis system, so even if it has fallen into the Empire's lap, it'll be of no use to them, save perhaps as a statue. Correct. Without me to guide their efforts, it would take decades to decipher Omega's core functions if they manage it at all. Such reassurances do much to calm our fears, yet the relic's fate is one of several concerns. Indeed, I humbly submit it's time for us to make contact with the resistance in Al-Girabania. Though Ilberd forced our hand, it would seem logical to seek an alliance. Yeah. What do you think, Alpino? You must be exhausted. I would normally suggest we retire directly to the Rising Stones, but can we make a small detour? Yeah, sure. To my knowledge, they don't explain why it takes the form of Shinryu instead of, something else. They might explain it at some point. I probably missed it, but I have no memory of them explaining that. Let's be honest, though. The reason it took the form of Shinryu is because it was a fight between Omega and Shinryu. Yeah, can we get a spa treatment? Like, just a full works, just, oh my god. Okay. Oh, thank the 12. After witnessing Omega's single-minded onslaught, I had visions of being trapped between it and its target. Hardly the most rational concern I can see, but if you saw what I saw... Yeah, we would never fight Omega.
My friends, I cannot well express how glad I am to see you both unharmed. They say that Omega's clash with the Primal shook the very firmament.
You need not have worried. The battle took place far above the ground. We were able to observe in relative safety, though I'm given to understand that there were casualties on the far side of the wall.
It was like watching a nightmare unfold before our very eyes. Ilberd's primal manifested in the form of a colossal dragon, a being of pure violence. It burst forth from the cocoon with such terrible force.
That such a horror should spring from the eyes of Nidhogg comes as no surprise. Nor do I wonder at its form. Ilberd all but announced it in the moments prior to his death. Plainly, it was his dying wish to visit a second calamity upon the Empire.
And I am quite certain the abomination would have obliged had it not found itself outmatched by Omega. Gods! I am no stranger to the works of Alag, but even I was unprepared for the machine's furiosity. It beggared belief.
And how fares poor Ida in the midst of all this? Have you spoken with her?
She's up on the platform, lost in thought. We deemed it best not to disturb her, but mayhaps she would welcome some company after all. Shall we?
The light's gone. It was all we had left of him.
Ida.
I don't blame anyone. I knew what was going to happen. I knew the spell Papalimo meant to cast would drain away his life force. I knew that it would only buy us a little time.
Ida, there is no need to explain.
But there is. I can't hide in Papalimo's little shadow anymore, and I shouldn't hide behind my sister's mask. 20 years ago, on the day the Empire marched into Alamigo, I was still just a child, not even 5 summers old. My father had been one of the leaders of the revolution. He had fought to overthrow the Mad King, Theodoric. And my sister had fought alongside him. But she was strong and kind, and always knew what to do. But when the Garleans came, everything changed. My father went to war against them too, and I never saw him again. After that, I remember a lot of running. My sister dragged me for malms and malms until we came to the city of Charlian. That was where she met Master Louis Soir. He introduced her to the Circle of Knowing, and she eventually became an Archon.
She was your inspiration. Is that not why you took up her mask and her name? Or did you simply mean to continue what she had started?
Oh yeah, by the way, I should mention that when I first saw this, I was really impressed by what I presumed was a huge plot twist, but no, it actually wasn't at all.
You've known all along, haven't you? that I wasn't Ida.
To explain briefly, I thought the FF14 1.0 character that we interacted with so much was Ida, and that this was, you know, Lise. I was wrong. It's just been Lise the whole time, so...
Of course. We all recognized you at once. 'Twas Papalimo who persuaded us to maintain the charade.
It was silly to think I could fool you. I knew that even then, but I sort of decided not to know.
Oh, by the way, that's her character in another sentence right there. I sort of decided not to know.
Ida died 6 years ago, on a mission to smuggle refugees out of Alamigo. They say she was overwhelmed by Imperial soldiers when she stayed behind to save a little girl. She was so strong. There must have been a lot of them. I'm sorry for lying to you. My real name is Lise. When Papalimo brought me Ida's mask, it was meant as a keepsake, but I decided I wanted to be his new partner, to keep alive all the good that she had done. I didn't want to become Ida, exactly. At the time, though, I still didn't know who I was myself, and it almost seemed easier to play the role. Papalimo agreed to help, of course, but it was never what he wanted for me. He wanted me to walk my own path, and those were his final words to me. The Archon's mark he gave me is faded, and my last excuse along with it. So this is it. Whatever I choose to do from now on, I do as Lise. And I choose to continue my family's fight. I want Alamigo to be the country that Ida and my father always wanted it to be.
I actually agree with Omega Legion here. Something that unfortunately happens semi-commonly is a writer or even a writing team has a character that they just can't think of something to do with. Now, no judgment, that just happens, right? We all have that issue. And I tend to agree that they were just like, boop. I do, however, you can see why I assumed this was a big reveal. Why I assumed it was Ida in 1.0 and Lise in 2.0. That would actually add some weight to this, that Ida was the character we saw and interacted with. Remember, I started in Gridania back in 1.0. And so I thought, oh my god, so she's just been impersonating her sister this whole time. But no, she's been impersonating her sister since the very beginning, so there's no connection. Like, it's like, okay, whatever.
War is upon us once more.
Do you regret standing against the Empire? Would you have chosen a different road, knowing what you know now?
To claim that I never doubted the decision would be a lie. But I made my choice, and I have defended it with blade in hand ever since.
The battle continues, and our steel is needed. Come, Shadow Walker, we leave for the east, for Doma.
You know, it may sound harsh, Omega Legion, but I think I'm with you on that, too. So she removes her mask. Yep. Should she ever falter, we'll be there to support her. Yeah. Like I said, I'm not as anti-Lise as a lot of people are. Although we'll see if that holds up upon an analysis and review. But by memory, Lise was just, yeah, okay. was saying, now we should have credits. Double checking. Yep, okay. You may have mentioned, but Alphino has apprised me of all that came to pass in Gridania. Your only task now is to rest. Lise has chose her path, and as her friends, we can do what we can to support her choice. Which is not to say the cause is unworthy. Okay, we did it. Heaven's word. Right. Post credits. Hang on. We'll get there. We'll get there, I swear. Quick march. The Imperials will soon come to their senses. We must be ready to face retribution. Awesome senior and awesome junior. Almost time. Stand firm, Pippin. I learned to brace myself against the charge of the Bull of Alamigo. No foe will dislodge me. Some degree of actual tactics on display here. What they're trying to do is effectively take Imperial fortifications while they can for the inevitable counterstrike which is already on its way. As the Imperials are trying to do the exact same thing they are. Very well, Ilberd. I will take our homeland back and prove you right! Sorry. Huge pet peeve. Meanwhile, elsewhere. Who's this Yahoo? It's the jailer. Oh, okay, let's not be unkind. My Lord Viceroy, our scouts confirmed the preliminary reports. Baelsar's wall has fallen to the Urzian Alliance. The hunt for Omega and the unknown Icon continues, though both yet elude us. My lord, the battle caused considerable damage across the region. Should we perchance divert some of our forces from the search and undertake necessary reconstruction? Forgive me, you will be done. Now, I hate... It's okay, I'm not going to give any opinions on Xenos, but that is a lot of Xenos' characterization in one scene. He just doesn't care. He is so... I don't mean this as a negative. He is so bored. All of this is just so disinteresting to him. So he... Hey, should we go to this job? And that's his reaction. I mean, he does this pose a lot, as he's just sitting there like, whatever. Unknown, my spies told me the Domans call it Shinryu. It proved a match for Omega. Yes, this will be most interesting. The only thing that caught his attention, someone joked about this in chat earlier, the only thing that caught his attention at all was the giant fight between the ridiculously powerful Primal and the ludicrously powerful Omega. At the far edge of fate, the road begins anew, and heroes look to eastern skies and behold their crimson hue. A dawn of liberation and a gathering storm of blood. There! Okay, we did it. We beat Heaven's Word. Oh, okay. Just was holding my breath in case there was one last something. Oh. Ooh, okay. Okay. Yeah, we're going to do a pretty brief audit. We're actually going to log out, too. Switch this over to Stormblood. I'm just going to update that now. Wait, shoot. I screwed up. Hang on, let's actually log back in super quick. Because I just realized I want to do that after this. Give me a second. I'm just doing a little bit of paperwork cleanup. I've actually been doing it during the cutscenes, but a lot of them required me to talk. So, you know, I kind of had to talk. I apologize. Okay. So, I have a question, and I hate to sound negative, but I want to give a negative to the Ida reveal. Because it's just such a nothing burger, right? It seems so 100% unnecessary. It's played up like it's a big scene, and there's no relevance to it. And again, I'm not saying that because I dislike Lise as a character. That's not the point. It's just, hey, I was always Lise. It's like, okay. Why? Who cares? Just let me pare down my point to its most constructive, objective point I can here. If it was just Ida, okay, she takes off the mask, thing's gone, and yeah, if it was just Ida through Stormblood, nothing changes. Nothing changes. Like, I get what they were going for, kind of, but it really does feel like they just didn't know what direction to take that, so... But the good news is, that's our last part. So I'm going to race through the audit really quick here, just to make sure we catch some stuff. Give me a moment. That's the point of the audit. Alright, let's see here. Well, you see why I was so presuming it was the 1.0 thing I kept mentioning. Like, oh my, because that would be a bit of a twist. Like, oh, what happened to Ida? Oh, she died before I played 1.0. Oh. Alright, so we've talked about that. I'm just gonna race through this here. Connections between characters, yep, dialogue, oh yeah, doodads. Doodads were better, but we're not there yet. I don't think we're gonna start giving doodad pluses until the expansion we just hit. Yeah, exactly, Rax. And then, whew, Lisa's like, I've been following my sister, and they've been letting me fulfill. We always knew it was you, but you've been doing so much to earn up to your sister's things, and it helped explain why she's been so eager and earnest and whatever. All right, so external continuity. Yeah, we already covered that. Okay. Gameplay-wise, I think we've covered this one rather thoroughly. I've also been doing mini audits as we go through off camera to try and make sure, to try and smooth out this process. Because doing a full audit of even just one expansion of these MMOs would, let's be honest, it would take like 2 hours. So that's one of the reasons why I've been doing mini audits. So I'm just kind of doing a sweep over, because I actually did the audit for this morning. We'll start to see Princess Peach sections in the upcoming expansion. That'll be fun. Okay. So let's come up with our silver number, shall we? Now, as a reminder, the silver number for ARR was 92.73. Good. Not great. Definitely some good stuff there, though. I need to grab a few numbers here. Oh, we're just going to jump right in. Or we could take a lunch break early. It's actually not a bad idea. And then just stream long for the rest of the day. It's not a bad idea. What do y'all think? Also, for a bit of numbers here, ARR was 7,637 minutes. Even with the aggravation of those side quests, Heaven's Word is 4,274 minutes. So there's your hard numbers on the difference in quantity between the two expansions. So in case you were wondering why I said ARR was the biggest, there you go. Hard number. So that's 71.24 hours. And I'm going to update this document to showcase that. Oh yeah, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, as to mean. It's just several people were like, "Oh my God, ARR is so huge," and I kept having to be like, "Yeah, don't worry. All the expansions are a bit shorter. Trust me." They're like, "No, it's gonna be forever." I'm like, "No, trust me, trust me." Okay, so that now I got to do a couple of numbers. So that's 106 positives to story. Jesus Christ. And 27 negatives. So that's. Let's do one little last math thing here, which is 106 divided by 133. There we go. Better ratios too. So I track the ratio of good points to bad points. Anything above 50% is good. So ARR was 71% on story and 48% on gameplay. In other words, net negative on gameplay. Heavensward is 79% on story and 55% on gameplay. Still just barely a net positive, but it has at least eked its way up to being a net positive on gameplay. That's going to be this. Can I get a drum roll in chat, please? Now remember, these numbers don't really apply linearly to the rest of the games. That's why MMOs are separate. But silver number for Heavensward is 178.20. If we were to line that up with something, that would put that up as at the number 5 slot for a bit of perspective. That's pretty high up there. Honestly, I think a lot of the side quests really dragged that score down. And I wasn't as impressed by the dungeons as I thought I would be. As I remember being. I think I was mostly, when I first went through Heavensward, I think I was mostly like, oh man, these dungeons are so much better than ARR. And they are, but I don't think we're quite at the point of truly good dungeon design yet. I think we're going to hit that with Stormblood. Yeah, Stormblood, everyone's bashing Stormblood, but I'm sorry, Stormblood's probably going to be pretty damn big. It's probably going to be a very high number. I don't even want to think about what Shadowbringers is going to be like. Alright, so let me readjust a few things. I'm just doing some little paperwork things. I think we'll go ahead and commit to the idea. Let's go ahead. So, remember, the story includes everything, Rye. Not just the main story quest. So think about all the stories that are in Stormblood. Now, we do have Evilise, which is Evilise, but we also have Omega. And a few other things I don't want to spoil right now. Although, Four Lords, that's probably going to be pretty legit. Just double check a few things here. Yeah, Omega's... I'm actually looking forward to doing the Omega fights again. I almost never get the Omega fights in roulettes. Very, very rarely. So we'll see. Yep, okay, that's lined up. That's set over to Stormblood. Really? Pillars of Snow? Man, I almost never do. Like, I get, I can't even think of the name of it. The first one. Like, I can't even think of the damn name of the fight. Hang on. F14, Omega 1. Yeah, Delta Escape 1. What is this stupid thing? Alteroite, or however the heck you say it. I get that semi-frequently. But that's like the only Omega I tend to get. I don't think I've ever gotten anything other than that and whichever one the train is. And, like, that's it on roulettes. I never get Omega roulettes. So I'm going to pull up something here. Catastrophe. I didn't believe that. Stormblood. So just as a quick check, it's going to be... Yeah, it's going to be quite a bit before we get to our first dungeon. Like, our first dungeon is going to be the Siren Song Sea over at Kugane for a bit of a perspective. So we've got a little bit of time before we start to group up. We might not even hit that today. I don't know. We'll see. But I think we will go ahead, chop off our lunch break here. I'll take lunch, close my eyes a bit. I got a little bit of a headache, just a little one. and then I'll come back in about an hour, and we'll just stream for the rest of the night, and we'll get some Stormblood in. So I hope to see you all in about an hour, and I do hope you enjoyed. Continue to. Oh, I should probably get rid of these, too. Wipe the board. Now, I know there's some stuff already in the document, but we'll get to that. Speaking of which, I should probably go ahead and do this while we're here.